it's important for people to know that Joe, as charismatic as he was, and just like any human being, there's a lot of gray, and we're not all bad, but Joe did a lot of really bad things, and it's a little bit concerning for me that people who have seen the series walk away feeling that Joe should be sprung from jail. Um, I don't want to say how much time Joe should do, but I will say that Joe did a lot of things that were really not okay. And what the abuse of the animals, the caging of the animals. Who needs 220 tigers? Cage after cage after cage. The suffering that took place on that property, both with his animals and with the people that worked around him, was unconscionable. And then allegedly trying to kill someone. Joe was not a good person. And so I just think it's important for people to understand that and recognize that probably the real heroes in this story are those people that are trying to stop this behavior, and those that are dedicating their lives to stopping the suffering of animal abuse, tigers, big cats, lions, whatever it is. And I just hope that people realize that and walk away knowing that, and not thinking that Joe somehow deserves to be released from jail tomorrow.
I went to Oklahoma thinking that I was going to meet just this horrible human being who is doing these really treacherous acts of cruelty to these animals. And he was very disarming. He was charming and charismatic and was incredibly intuitive in terms of knowing what to say and when to say it. And it was kind of shocking because I found myself, and he was so open. He was such an open book. And for a storyteller or a filmmaker, he was a dream character because there was nothing that was off limits. And he had this insatiable appetite to be on camera. So we could have filmed 24 hours a day with him, 7 days a week for years and years and years. And he would have just drank it up. He couldn't get enough. So it was, I found myself being kind of shocked by the fact that I was sort of taken with him. And even though I thought what he was doing with his animals was really appalling, and it was really appalling and cruel.
Not until far into this project, I think it was the summer of 2018, when I was interviewing Jeff Lowe for the first time, the new owner of Joe's zoo. And Jeff off camera told me that Joe was wanted by the FBI and that had hired a hitman. He didn't get into specifics, but suddenly that brought everything, suddenly everything made sense. Why Joe went on the run, why Joe just abandoned his park, why Joe went into hiding. And I believed it the second he told it to me. And I called Rebecca. But I should just step back a minute before we get to that. As charismatic as Joe was, it was a really, as charismatic as he was, as Rebecca says, it was also very clear from the very beginning with Joe that it was a really dark world that he inhabited. And the people that worked at the zoo were ex-cons and meth addicts and, really troubled people. And it was clear that it wasn't a place that I would have wanted to stay for any length of time. So when Rebecca says we could film them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, that's true. But it would have been very hard to have done that because it was just so, horrible being there, frankly. And these people create their own little bubbles, their own little universes, whether it's Joe or Doc Antle or Tim Stark or Jeff Lowe. And they really begin to play by their own rules and sort of drink the Kool-Aid as cult leaders try to, indoctrinate people. They make I take that back. They are basically charismatic cult leaders in a sense, and they create their own little, world where they control everything. And it became very clear that, these people were living outside of mainstream society, which can be great at times. But in this case, it was a dangerous world that they were creating on every level, the way they treated people and the way they treated their animals.
what Carol and Howard are doing in terms of raising awareness about the issue of big cats in captivity, they should be applauded for. And they, as we say in episode 1, they are different than these other people. They are not breeding. They are taking in cats that have been abandoned because they're too expensive, people don't have the means, they don't want to, and they're giving them a place to live out the rest of their lives. And so I hope that people get that, and that that's very different than creating these puppy mills of cubs to pet and exploit with the public. And Carol and Howard were so, they were on such a mission to get their message out. They were super, super accommodating. I can't tell you how many times we have been there, and they have taken days and days and days out to film with us. And so we were super appreciative of that.
And I would say the silver lining, I would just say we're thrilled that it's receiving the success that it is. And we hope that it does raise consciousness about this issue. Even though, we wanted to tell an honest story, but in the end of the day, we wanted to tell the story of the suffering and exploitation and abuse of these animals. And I hope that people see that at the end of this journey. And reality is stranger than fiction. We're living in it now. So, but I hope it does shine a light on this issue.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.